everybody, it's Shannon in Iowa, and I am getting ready to get started on Thanksgiving. It's Wednesday night, and I'm gonna take you through some of the things that I'm making ahead of time. And right now I'm getting ready to make a good old-fashioned pumpkin pie and a pecan pie, so come on along. We're getting ready to make the pumpkin pie. And this is some pumpkin I had from my garden last year that I froze for whenever I wanted to make some pumpkin bread or a pumpkin pie. I froze it in 2-cup packages, so that way it's the same as a can of pumpkin. I dated it, labeled it 2 cups, but 2 cups is a can of pumpkin, and I have a video about how I processed the pumpkins out of the garden last year. So if you want to check out that video from my garden, you'll be able to see that. And to that, I'm going to add 2 eggs. I'm going to add a can of evaporated milk. And three-quarters of a cup of sugar. And then you're just going to whisk all that together. Make sure to break up the eggs and get everything mixed together really good. Break that pumpkin up. Be right back. I'm cheating a little bit this time because I am using some store-bought pie shells. I do know how to make pie shells, and I think I have a video on it, but if not, I will for sure put one on there because they are simple to make. It's just this little time consuming, a little more work than I wanted to do tonight after getting off work. So we're cheating a little bit. So you just lay it down in here. Crimp the edges a little bit, just between 2 fingers. This is a family dinner. Family Thanksgiving is just me and my kids and my husband. 2 of my kids, anyway, and my husband. And then Noah's bringing his roommate over, and we might have one more friend with us. But it doesn't have to be perfect. Not that they're not special people, but this is a homemade Thanksgiving. But yeah, I have pie crust crimpers and all that, but this looks just as good and it tastes just as good. And all I did was crimp the edges between 2 fingers all the way around. And again, make sure this is really mixed up. And then to that, I am going to add, I looked and I thought I had cloves, but I didn't have any cloves. So what I'm gonna do is use some, I did have some apple pie spice in my pantry. I don't know what I had it for. I think it might have been for apple cider or something, but that's what I'm gonna put in here. And I'm putting 1.5 teaspoons in here. That might be too much, but it's gonna have some flavor for sure. But this already has the ginger, the cinnamon, and the cloves. But normally I would put a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ginger, and 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, I think is what my recipe calls for. But like I said, I couldn't find my cloves, so we're just improvising. And then I'm going to put a pinch of salt, maybe 2 pinches of salt in there. And whisk that up really good. Smells good. And then I'm gonna prick the pie shell bottom so it doesn't bubble up, since we didn't blind bake this one. So just prick the bottom. Cool. Anyway, that's all there is to pumpkin pie. We're just gonna pour it in the pie shell, stick it in the oven, and it's gonna bake for about 50 minutes, so almost an hour. And then I'm gonna wash up this bowl, and we're gonna get started on our pecan pie. I am gonna set this on a baking sheet because it might bubble up and over, because it is pretty full. It's a pretty full pie. And this will just keep it from spilling over into the oven. It's going in the oven for about 50 minutes. So next I'm going to wash up the bowl that I just made that in, and we'll do the pumpkin pie. We are now going to make my all-time favorite, which is pecan pie. It is so super easy. I don't know why all of us don't make it all the time. I put one ingredient in here most people might not think of until you see my video, and then you're gonna try it because it's so good. But all it is, all you do is dump it all in here and stir it up. Got 3 eggs. I'm gonna beat those up a little bit just to break them up. It's a cup of corn syrup, but I had a little bit of cinnamon maple syrup in the fridge that I wanted to use up, so I went ahead and stuck it in there too. It's not going to hurt anything. That's not the secret ingredient I use, but just letting you know why it's not quite light like normal light corn syrup, because I added that cinnamon maple in there. The secret to getting your syrup out of your cup is to spray it with cooking spray, which I did not do, but you can do it. I stir after every ingredient because it helps incorporate everything. Next, it's 2 tablespoons of melted butter, and pour just a little bit in to temper the eggs because you don't want scrambled eggs. And if you put hot butter into eggs, you're going to get scrambled eggs. So, there we go. And that was 2 tablespoons of melted butter. 1 cup of sugar. And you definitely want to let your pecan pie cool after it's done baking, because if you don't, if you try to eat it too warm, it does taste kind of eggy. But after it sets, it doesn't anymore. So here's what I put in. I put in Southern Comfort instead of vanilla. You should put a teaspoon of vanilla if you don't want to use the Southern Comfort. But just a little hint, if you didn't know, vanilla is made out of liquor. So it is the same thing, pretty much, just different flavor. And like I said, I will be doing a video on how to make vanilla coming up, because this is my last bottle and I make my own vanilla. So we got the eggs, the cup of corn syrup, cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, a teaspoon of vanilla, or like I said, I put Southern Comfort in here. Bourbon would probably be good. Oh yeah, bourbon would be good. And then you want about 1.5 cups of pecan halves, or you could put chopped pecans. That's up to you. It's according to what you like. I put the pecan halves in my pie. Oh, come on. Not working very well, is it? And guess what? That's it. Pecan pie is done. It's going to go in the oven for about 50 minutes like the pumpkin pie. I have the store-bought pie shell. I just crimped the edges like I did with the pumpkin. I'm going to just pour this into the shell. And get a spatula. Get all that in there. What it does is kind of make a caramel filling, almost. But yeah, I don't know why people don't make pecan pies all year. I don't make pecan pies all year. I love them, but I guess if I did, I would eat them too. So probably a reason I don't. This is going to go into the oven at 350 for about 50 minutes. So that's our pies for tomorrow. We'll see what we're going to do next. Okay, I'm going to make another one that's pretty much just me, because my kids hate sweet potatoes. But I'm going to make a sweet potato casserole. Mushed up the sweet potatoes. Well, dang it. There. I don't know what happened with that. Got twisted. Okay. So to the sweet potatoes, I'm going to add 2 eggs. So it's almost like a sweet potato pie, but it's got a streusel topping with pecans and butter and brown sugar. Really good. Got the eggs. I'm going to put in 1/3 cup of evaporated milk. We're going to add 1/2 cup of butter that's been melted. Again, you want to add the butter in slowly so you don't scramble your eggs. to temper the eggs. And then to that, I'm going to add, this is wet, sorry. To that, I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. And since I use unsalted butter, I'm going to add a little bit of salt because you always want salt in your sweet. And then I'm going to add some pumpkin pie spice like we did in the pumpkin pie. Just a teaspoon. Then I'm going to add some more cinnamon because I love cinnamon. Just a half a teaspoon because there's quite a bit in that pumpkin pie spice already. Mix all that up. And I'm going to just put this in the fridge. I made it ahead of time, so in the morning before lunch I will bake this. So tomorrow when I get this ready to go in the oven, I'll come back and show you guys how to make the streusel topping. Because we'll bake it with the topping on it. I'm gonna spray the pan that I'm using. You should smell the pumpkin pie. It's got like 10 minutes left. It smells really good. I am making a mess with this, let me tell you. And then what we'll do tomorrow is we'll top it with the streusel topping and bake it. So I'm making the streusel topping for the brown sweet potatoes. Got about 4 tablespoons of melted butter in here. I'm gonna add some brown sugar, maybe. Get it out of the container. Want about a half a cup. I'll just about put the whole bag in there. And then I'm gonna add some cinnamon. About half a teaspoon. That all mixed up in there. That looks good. And then just some chopped pecans. Probably about another half a cup. I'm gonna put the whole cup in there. I used about a half a cup in the cranberry salad. I'm gonna put the rest. So it's gonna make kind of candied pecans on top of the sweet potatoes. And then half of it I'm gonna put marshmallows on, the other half, because some people don't like it with the marshmallows. This has been cooking pretty much the whole time we've been doing everything else. So it's time to put that topping on. I won't put the marshmallows on. I'll broil it at the very end. We're just gonna put this over the top of it. It's gonna make a nice crunchy caramely topping. And like I told you this morning, I totally forgot to put the sugar in this. So hopefully this will sweeten it up a little bit. I think it'll still be great. And I have some, this stuff, the syrup is awesome. The bourbon syrup is wonderful. The spicy syrup I use in a lot of marinades, but this Great River maple cinnamon maple sugar is really good on cinnamon toast. Putting it on top of here. I'm going to stick that back in the oven so the topping can crisp up. In about 10 minutes, I'm going to put the broccoli and rice in the oven. And then all I have left really, guys, is to make the mashed potatoes. So I took the sweet potato casserole out of the oven. I put marshmallows on half of it because some people like marshmallows, some people don't. And I'm going to stick it back in the oven in a little bit after the ham's done under the broiler, just so it can toast up the marshmallows. Pecan pie, pumpkin pie. It looks weird, but it's real pumpkin. It's not canned. Oop. Sweet potato casserole.